Welcome to the Human Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Adam Tice. We're talking about everything you need to know, but nobody's telling you about how to optimize your health, cultivate happiness, and biohack your way to peak performance. I've been in the clinic 12 years, and I'm stepping out of the clinic into the pod studio, bringing all the clinical pearls, all the foundational wisdom that you need to accelerate your health and accelerate your life. Here we go. Okay guys, welcome to another episode of our podcast, and today we have a super exciting, a super important, probably the most important pod ever, because this understanding and this knowledge that we're going to go through today is going to really revolutionize, could revolutionize healthcare if this would take hold. So we're going to talk today about what is acute disease. What are colds, flus, fevers, germs? What's going on with that, and what's the story? And this is definitely in the category of something you need to know about and nobody ever told you. And so I'm going to unpack this and talk about this. I want to talk today about what is acute disease, and I'm talking about colds and flus and these kinds of things. It could be many different kinds of things: fevers and febrile conditions, all kinds of inflammatory conditions, skin conditions. Many things fall under this category. Okay, but these are the things that I want to talk about. And if you guys will remember, we've talked about chronic disease, and we talked about the principles of nature cure during this. And if you guys remember, the primary causes of disease are lowered vitality, abnormal composition of the blood and the lymph, and accumulation of morbid matter in the body, toxic overload. That's what creates disease, chronic diseases. I'm talking about the acute things, the things that come up and they're more inflammatory in nature, and a lot of times they kind of come and go. And this is stuff that you've all heard before. And when you guys hear this, this is really gonna blow your minds, and it's gonna really, really change the way you think about everything related to health, your health, and moving forward. It's just going to change everything. So let's get in here, and then also, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about what to do about it, how, the paradigm shift, the new viewpoint, and then that's going to actually give us a whole nother set of tools with which to operate with and navigate this, our health with and our life with. So again, hey, we're solution oriented. I'm solution oriented. You got to ring the bell and ring the alarm on this stuff, because that's really important, and that's part of the awakening process. That's part of the educational process. That's part of the paradigm shift. That's part of the journey. And eventually, ultimately, we just want to be anchored and solidified in the foundation's methods and the foundation's techniques. So no matter what's going on out there, it doesn't affect us or does not touch us. We become immune to the ways of the dominant school of medicine and the mindsets that are keeping people sick. That's what we're doing, breaking out of the matrix, breaking the hypnotization that has been overlaid on us. And we've basically been lied to about our health and the way things work. So we're interested in solutions. Let's get into it, y'all. Acute diseases, we're talking about fevers and febrile conditions, inflammatory conditions, skin conditions, a lot of different things, diarrheas, discharges. These kinds of things are going on. They are happening. Now, why are they happening? There's multiple reasons, and we have been sort of spoon-fed that there is one reason, and this is that because there's germs, guys. And this is germ theory, and this is not exactly 100% true. It's another one of these partial truths that got served up as pure gospel, and then that's just kind of how it's been. So there's more to the story, and that's what makes the whole conversation really fun and interesting, and actually gives it depth. Actually, if you look into it, it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray area, and there's contributing factors. Things are multifactorial. It's most times not just one thing that's happening. So why do people get sick, acutely sick? It can be because of suppression, which we've talked about. It can be a return of old symptoms. It can be because of germs. It can be because of poor terrain. And it can be all of, maybe a little bit of all of these things: terrain, susceptibility, heredity, lifestyle. All these things are going on. Because how do we know there's something going on? How do we know that there is more to the story, and that there's even more to the story? How do we even know that? Well, with the germs, it's not quite that simple, because if there were only bacteria or things causing illness, the just basic example, you try to explain something, in terms that a 5-year-old would understand. So, in that example, if one sick person goes into a room, and we're telling this story to a 5-year-old, so we all understand this. If one sick person goes into a room where there's 10 people, then by the germ theory, and they spend some time together, they hug each other, they shake hands, and they talk, and they spend some time, they share a meal and all this stuff, and they have a nice time. Shouldn't all of those people then get sick? 100% of them should get sick, right? But that's not what we see. They don't. That's not what happens. It varies. So even if one or two of those doesn't, then that starts to beg the question, or it starts to make you think, what else is going on? There must be something else going on. And this is something that I think is worth looking into and thinking about. What is making people sick? And we got to look at the multiple different areas of this, and then do this. And this is a main difference, because, and kind of one of the points that I'm getting at today, is acute disease is viewed by the dominant school of medicine as a pathology, as something that must be it must be poisoned, it must be shut down, it must be eliminated. The inflammation, the fever, the symptom must be squashed, must be crushed, and then that suppression of that symptom is then presented to the public, or to everyone, as cure. Oh, you're better. You took the medicine. You must be better. Okay. Don't confuse suppression with cure. The proper thing to do here in the situation, because what's going on, the proper viewpoint, the proper orientation here, instead of seeking to crush and seek and destroy the disease, we need to seek and think about, how can we invigorate the system? How can we stimulate and arouse the vitality? How can we build the blood and the lymph? How can we purify the body? How can we build and fortify the immune system? How do we do that? We do that by many things. The naturopathic tools: a simple diet, clean diet, getting off your food intolerance, hydrotherapy, magic socks, constitutional hydrotherapy, and homeopathy. Because homeopathy understands this idea that you don't necessarily want to seek, crush, and destroy the symptom. Homeopathy understands this. They understand the laws of cure and the ways of Mother Nature, and they understand the magic of the minimum dose, and we understand in the world of homeopathy and the nature cure philosophy that like cures like. And when we cooperate with nature, which is what we really should be doing when the body gets sick and presents us with some kind of symptom picture, an inflammation, a fever. But what we have to understand is that inflammation and that fever are secondary. They are not the primary origin of disease. They are just a sign that there is some attempt in the body some process in the body happening. And now, are you guys ready for the breakthrough here? The breakthrough is in the philosophical shift here and the paradigm shift here. Please come with me. Acute disease in the Foundation's 360 method paradigm, which is the paradigm of the nature cure principles, which is the paradigm of Mother Nature, of trusting in Mother Nature and trusting in that intelligence that lies inherent in the biology. Here's the breakthrough. We understand that the acute disease is not a pathology. It is a result of the cleansing and the healing efforts of Mother Nature. It's Mother Nature's effort. You're watching it happen. It's the effort, the attempt to repair the injury that is going on. Its attempt to remove morbid matter from the system. That's the paradigm shift. What we want to do is stimulate the vitality, rouse the vital force, and kind of steer that that wild vital process that is happening in a febrile condition, in a fever condition, in an inflammatory condition. We want to tame that wild horse kind of thing, okay? You want to harness that energy and use that energy to heal the body. Because if that gets suppressed, the body, don't confuse suppression with cure. If it gets suppressed, it will come back and show itself again in another attempt. And then this is the big breakthrough here if we understand this. So you guys just think about this. What do you think about this? They did not teach me this in school. My elders taught me this, and I give all the credit to the lineage and the elders and the folks that have come before me that have shown me this. And this has been shown across many, many ancient healing systems. And we just happen to be talking about it through the language and the lens of the Foundation's 360 method, which is the nature cure principles. That's the application of the nature cure principles is what we're talking about. So this is a stark difference in viewpoint, where we say, as a nature cure, as a believer and trust in nature, that the disease, quote, the pathology, that inflammation, that fever, is actually the cure. That is not the thing that needs to be squashed and stopped. We need to support that process, harness that process. Whereas with the dominant school of medicine, they view these activities of the vital force as harmful, as some pathology that must be eradicated. So this is a really interesting way to look at this. And I think if we adopted this, and we started to look at this, we really could truly transform the health of many, 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 many people. When we understand that every acute disease is the result of a cleansing and healing effort of nature, then we might behave a little differently. And the philosophy here never loses sight of these fundamental laws of cure, and that is the law of cure that I'm sharing here. And this is the gem here, that every acute disease is the result of a cleansing and healing effort of nature. It's Mother Nature's attempt to heal the system. And so when we apply this all the way through our medicine in general, this will revolutionize medicine, because this is going to open up a whole nother lens. Again, not the whole point, but one thing that happens when you shift paradigms and you shift understandings and you evolve your understanding into a more holistic, more comprehensive, more integrated view of health, and the way that the body works, your understanding of that becomes deeper and deeper through study and meditation and contemplation and thinking about this. That's what we clinicians do. We live in this. We think about this. We meditate. We breathe this just because it's what we do. And so if we could transmit that thought into the mainstream medicine, this would be wonderful, because it would shift the ground viewpoint, which is going to open up a whole nother set of possibilities. It's going to open up a whole nother set of research ideas and applications that can be used for the benefit of humanity. And that's one of the main things that we're doing. We are in service to humanity. That's what this message is all about, is because this is the way that I serve humanity, is to bring this message, because this is what heals people. This is what gets people better. And so this understanding about the laws of cure and about what is happening, this is key. Hippocrates said, "Give me a fever and I can cure every disease." And I say, fever is your friend. Give me a fever and I can cure every disease. That means that Hippocrates understood this, and he knew that fever was not a disease or something that needed to be crushed and eradicated. He understood that represented that it was an activity, a dynamic expression of the vital force, and that it was something to be revered and respected and nurtured, and to harness that energy and use that energy and allow the body and stand witness and allow the body to heal itself. Now there are a lot of what the quote treatments are in this new method, in this paradigm. You might say, well, my gosh, the fever's so high, you have to do something, don't you? Yes, you do something. We don't completely suppress it. We use the techniques of hydrotherapy and the principles of the physics of cold water and the water applications. And there is a system and a science to this, how we use this to stimulate the vitality, the cold, short bursts, the different methods. And there's many different methods of hydro that we can talk about. But the point is that you don't just sit and do nothing. You do something, but you try to steer that. And again, using the more advanced tools like homeopathy and hydrotherapy and things that are going to support this natural process, this is what you actually do. And when we understand these laws of cure, it opens up a whole nother set of possibilities. So we say, what can be gained from all the suppression? Because it's going to try and come back out, and eventually the person's going to get sick. And what has happened, one of the big things that has happened here, and I think with the state of the health that we're in right now, everybody can identify with this. There's been so much pharmaceutical suppression of acute disease that has ensured a lifetime of chronic disease management. People are sicker than ever. People are getting younger and sicker. The kids, young kids, 10, 12, 15, 18, showing up with adult size cases. A lot of it's from suppression. A lot of it's from unnatural lifestyle. And that's the other kind of piece of the equation, is, the unnatural lifestyle, because what does that do? That diminishes vitality, diminishes the quality of the blood and the lymph, increases the toxic bioburden in the body, and those are the primary causes of disease. If those things reach a certain point, Then a so-called acute disease comes. It's the body's way of trying to rid itself of that impurity by rousing the vitality. It's the body's attempt to cleanse itself at the deepest levels, to really, really deeply purge and cleanse at the cellular level, and to clean out so that it can kind of reboot itself back to health, because that is what the natural urge is of Mother Nature, and the natural tendency is toward health. That is what we rely on and lean on and leverage it. That is what happens when the natural laws and we are being followed and we're cooperating with nature. That's what happens. Health ensues. So this is really interesting to think about this, and it's good to know. But what about people that never get sick? Okay, well, kind of two things at least. Number one, no acute disease can show up in a person that is robust, vital, and healthy. So if you're robust, vital, and healthy, and your vitality is good, the quality of your blood and lymph is optimized, your nourishment and your nutrition is optimized, and you have properly cleansed, purified, and detoxified your body, you are much less susceptible to get sick, because your immunity, your natural immunity, will be such that it will keep you healthy. It will keep you healthy, and you won't notice this. But then there's this other category of people that, and I hear this, and it does make me nervous, honestly, when people say, oh, doc, I haven't been sick in 15 years. I'm either sitting in front of a super, extremely vital person, or I'm sitting in front of somebody that has diminished immunity and they're not even able to mount an immune response, and they haven't been sick in 10 or 15 years. That's not good, because that means the system has become overwhelmed. It's become overburdened with toxins. The vitality is diminished to the point that it cannot rouse itself to even mount a fever response, to mount an inflammatory response, to throw off that morbid matter, to sweat out that morbid matter, to discharge through the bowels, the kidney, the GI tract, somehow to purge that morbid matter from the body. If a person is diminished and they can't do that, that makes me a little nervous. So these are some of the things that we want to be thinking about, and we have to really understand this. And now this understanding that acute disease is essential, we consider it house cleaning. It's beneficial and necessary. The only thing we need to do is to modify and direct those inflammatory processes, modify, direct, kind of coach that fever, keep it safe, never suppress, never ever suppress. Because then if we suppress, we have disease poisons there, morbid material in the tissues that is attempting to be cleansed and purified. It's attempting to be thrown out. And so someone's mounted a fever response and their body's trying to clean itself. And then the worst thing to do when the body is right in mid-process of house cleaning, of cleansing itself, is to squash that and to suppress that fever. And then we've injected a drug poison into the system on top of the disease poison that was there from the morbid matter. Then we've compounded that. Now we've made things more complex. And this will come out some other time later. It'll come out through the skin, through some congestion, through some diarrhea, through some febrile condition, through something people call allergies, through recurring illnesses, through different skin issues, many different ways, but it's usually some route of the emunctories. Gastrointestinal disturbances start to show up. And the early signs that there is becoming some toxic burden in the system is if there is some kind of gut disturbance, or you notice that the bowel goes offline, or the bowel movements become irregular, something like that, the energy starts to diminish, the mood might start to shift and become out of character for that person. Those are the signs that we need to do some house cleaning. Those are some of the early signs that we need to clean the house, that that the blood and the lymph's becoming burdened, that the morbid matter in the system, in the tissues, is becoming such that it needs to be cleansed. Those are the kind of things that we start to look for. So I hope this is making sense, and I want you guys to leave comments, or or let me know what you think about this, or any clarification, because this is one of these things definitely we need to know about this, because this changes the whole trajectory of medicine. If we understand this changes the whole entire trajectory of medicine. Because the whole foundation that the dominant school of medicine has been built on, as far as the conception of disease, is wrong. Everything that it's been built on, and all the understandings are wrong, and therefore everything that's been built on that is also going to be slanted, it's not going to give result. And as long as the fundamental idea and the fundamental understanding of disease is based on error, medicine's going to miss it. And so we need to understand that this fundamental law of cure also explains why there's so many poisons in medicine, because they think they need to seek, destroy, and squash and eliminate disease. But what is actually happening is those drug poisons are being layered on top of the disease, which was the morbid matter that was trying to be thrown out the body, and they paralyze the vital force, and then that diminishes the vital force and sets us up for more acute disease if we can rouse the vitality one more time. And if we cannot, it's going to start to set the table for chronic disease. That's the rule of chronic disease. If we have this understanding, it's going to change everything, because the effect is not the cause. We're just watching a process. And every acute disease is a result of a healing effort of nature. And that's what we're watching. That is what we're watching. And if we understand that, everything changes. So that's the download for today, guys. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that this opens a lot of eyes. I hope this message reaches a lot of people. I hope that a lot of people can transform their health, or of a friend, or of a loved one, if they can apply these principles, or find somebody that knows how to apply these principles in a complex condition, because this can transform lives, guys. Hey, that's the download for now. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Adios for now. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Human Handbook podcast. My name is Dr. Adam Tice. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. And be sure to tune in next week, where we're going to be talking more about everything you need to know, but nobody's telling you, about how to optimize your health, cultivate happiness, and biohack your way to peak performance. Adios for now, guys.